With every passing year, the share of the population that identifies as Christian inches down ever so slightly, and the share of the population that identifies as an atheist or agnostic goes up very slightly as well. Now, over enough years, that change can be quite dramatic, and that's being shown by new data coming out of a Pew survey. New statistics show that between 2007 and 2014, the number of Americans who identify as Christian dropped by nearly 8 percentage points, from 78.4 to 70.6. At the same time, Pew's 2014 U.S. religious landscape study found that the number of people who are religiously unaffiliated, either atheist, agnostic, or simply nothing in particular, has grown by more than 6 percentage points, from 16.1 in 2007 to 22.8 in 2014. Now, those two things happening effectively simultaneously means that the religious landscape in America in 2014 looks very different than it did in 2006 or 2007.
Okay, this is huge news. These kind of movements are historic. To move 7 points in 7 years is unbelievable. Because if you don't have proper context on it, you might think, oh, what's the big deal? Things move all the time. The polls on marijuana moved a lot. Polls on gay marriage moved a lot. A lot of different issues moved. No. These are bedrock identity issues. Yeah. I am a Methodist. I am a Catholic, right? No, for people to say, no, I don't believe in religion anymore. In the old days, that was huge. Yeah. Now it is happening at lightning speed.
Yeah. For it to happen any faster, I think the rapture would have to happen.
Then it might go in the reverse direction. So
it'd be gone.
No, but I think that this goes to back what I've been saying for a long time, which is that people think, oh, well, religion's been around for 2,000 years. It's never going to go away. You're being idealistic and naive if you think that it'll happen quickly. No, we'll have it for... No. Look, I get that it's partly part of our DNA to look for a higher meaning, a higher purpose.
For something,
right? So I get that, and so I'm not naive about that. At the same time, what I've been saying all along is it doesn't have to be these particular religions.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be these particular dogmas, these particular ancient texts, which are nonsensical. And sometimes change happens slowly until all of a sudden it happens really quickly. Yeah. There are tipping points in the world, right? And I don't know why people couldn't see it, because it already happened in Europe. And Europe's not on another planet. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, America has been far more religious than Europe in the past, right? Obviously, Europe used to be a lot more religious as well.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So those trends are obvious, and the internet expedites this because it expedites sharing information. And once you share information and you actually read the text of the Bible or the Quran, you go, come on! Yeah. You can't possibly believe that.
And it helps link people up. So suddenly you're not the one person with questions about religion. All of a sudden it's like, oh shit, a lot of people feel this way. They're making a lot of good points. Oh, I don't believe this anymore.
So in the old days, if you were questioning in the middle of Kansas or Kandahar, you might be like, I don't know, this looks kind of weird, but I don't know. Everybody's telling me that this is the right thing.
You might get executed in one of those cases, possibly.
Well, in the old days, here as well, right? But they might have called you a witch and stuff.
Yes.
But now you go on the internet and you go, oh, wow, I'm not alone, right?
There's a lot.
And then people reinforce the ideas that you have. And the ideas you have are backed up by obvious facts. So that gets quicker and quicker, that change.
Totally.
This is the beginning. This is not the end. This is the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay? So religion will erode from here on out in America. The right-wing Fox News believes that there are culture wars, and they've been saying all along that they were losing them. I have agreed with them throughout, okay? Yes, there are culture wars. Yes, you are losing. You're on the losing side, and you will lose from here on out.
Cenk Uygur declaring victory in the war on Christmas. So let's talk about some of these numbers, especially for the now unaffiliated. There are now approximately 56 million religiously unaffiliated adults living in America, according to the study. The nuns, as they are known, and this is what's so interesting, are more numerous than either Catholics or mainline Protestants, and second only to evangelical Protestants.
Huge politically, religiously, culturally, socially. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine when I was growing up, the idea that there would be more non-believers than Protestants in the country? I mean, I know we're splitting evangelicals, but just flat out more non-believers than Catholics.
Yeah.
So now, by the way, non-believers, the next part of that step is to actually unite and use your political power. Because the religious folks, especially the evangelicals, they unite. They are unabashed in using their political power to try to impose their nonsense onto us, right?
Yeah, no, I think the non-believers, the atheists, the agnostics, are always going to be worse at banding together because it's harder to band together based on, I mean, I don't generally believe that it's the lack of something. I think that you do actually replace it with something when you become a non-believer, you know, a devotion to science and reason and logic and finding evidence for the things you believe. But those aren't the sort of things that typically people organize based around. Except for if you're a fan of Cosmos or something. So it might be harder politically, but as the group gets bigger and bigger, it doesn't take 100% to band together to make an effect politically. To have an effect, I should say.
And now the religions that are holding on best, if you put it that way, in America, according to this study, are Hindus, Muslims, and Jews. About 80% of Hindus are staying with the religion they were born into, 77% of Muslims, and 75% of Jews, whereas Christians are leaving it at much greater rates.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you see, he's talking about the middle group that's not changing much over time. They're effectively staying at the same spot year after year.
Right, so I would ironically say, God bless Christians, okay? Keep being open to facts, but the other three got a long way to go. I know, look, some of it is just a matter of being a minority in this country, and so you want to stick together, and and it becomes part of your identity, and so you feel like maybe you're betraying your roots if you say I'm not Hindu anymore or one of the other two religions.
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's about rational versus irrational.
Yeah.
It's about facts versus old, ancient, outdated dogma that is clearly not true.
Yeah. Now, the last point I want to make is, and I think this is an area we might disagree on, I am a bit more pessimistic long term about this trend continuing in the same way forever. I think that it could, I hope that it could, and we fight for policies that I think would lead to that, but it's not impossible for countries to shift in the opposite direction. I mean, we've seen that in the Middle East. America has had numerous religious revivals in the past, and this can happen as a result of economic problems in a country, military insecurity, and things like that. That can lead to people sort of doubling down on religion. I don't see it coming anytime soon, but it could come. That's my fear.
Yeah.
I think.
I hear you, but, and I know a history has a lot of tides, a lot of tide goes in, tide goes out.
I
You
can't explain
that. Okay. Now, having said that, it also has a trend. The arc of history bends towards rationality.
Towards secularism.
Right. And so I know that that we've been in the darkness for a long, long time.
The dark ages.
Right. And so when we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we can't get overly excited and say, we made it out, right? And I know that this has been a long time coming. But you have to look at the trend and you have to see, how quickly some things have gone. For example, the average life expectancy in the world has pretty much doubled in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
Amazing. Sometimes one breakthrough leads to another breakthrough leads to, whoa, how did that happen, right? So remember, we are in the scope of history, infants. I mean, humans have been around, culturally for about 50,000 years. The big cities are around.
Yeah, at most.
Yeah, at most, right? The cave art is around 50,000 years old, right?
Yeah.
The big cities are 5 to 10,000 years old. That's nothing.
That's technically before God even created the planet, which is impressive when you think about it.
So it's not surprising that an infant would begin to open its eyes a couple of months into its existence, right? And I think that is exactly what we're going through now. We have much better information than we had in the past, and facts are I believe, in the long term, irresistible. In the short term, emotions reign supreme, right? And my feeling for identity, for hope, for something better, right? For some deeper connection, all those things will win in the short term. But in the long term, facts have a way of being fairly stubborn, right? In the end, no matter what you do and what you hope for and what you wish, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. And it has a way of asserting itself. And we're in the middle of that assertion.